Listening fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
Transportation is needed because few economic resources, raw materials, fuels, food, manufactured goods, are located where they are wanted. Each region or place on Earth produces more than it consumes of some goods and services and less than it consumes of others. Through transportation, goods are moved from where there are surpluses to where there are shortages. Improved transportation has extended the areas in which various goods can be profitably marketed, and thus has helped make the goods widely available.
To avoid the widespread adoption of misguided ideas, the sensible thing is to experiment first and make policy later. This is the idea behind a trial of restorative justice, which is taking place in the English courts. The experiment will include criminals who plead guilty to robbery. Those who agree to participate will be assigned randomly either to sentencing as normal or to participation in a conference, in which the offender comes face to face with his victim and discusses how he may make emotional and material restitution. The purpose of the trial is to assess whether such restorative justice limits reoffending. If it does, it might be adopted more widely. The demand for transportation is derived from the need for people and goods to be at a particular place. In satisfying this need, transportation gives people and goods greater value and place utility. Sometimes, as in the aging of wine or the ripening of bananas while they are en route to their destinations, goods may acquire greater form utility. The in-transit storage of goods provided by a vehicle may reduce the need for warehouse space at the destination. This is an example of time utility, getting goods to a destination at the time of their greatest usefulness.
The Egyptian people showed reverence towards natural objects such as the lotus flower, the scarab beetle, the falcon, the lion, the sun and the river Nile. These subjects and many more were used symbolically and conventionally as motifs in low-relief carving and painting. It was the custom of the Egyptians to depict the various parts of the human figure, usually in the most characteristic positions. The head was shown in profile except for the eye, which was represented from the front. The shoulders and a portion of the arms were portrayed from the front, while the hips and legs were side views. Wall decoration showed little or no attempt to indicate depth or perspective, except by placing distant objects above near things.
To make political decisions about the extent and type of forestry in a region, it is important to understand the consequences of those decisions. One tool for assessing the impact of forestry on the ecosystem is population viability analysis (PVA). This is a tool for predicting the probability that a species will become extinct in a particular region over a specific period. It has been successfully used in the United States to provide input into resource exploitation decisions and assist wildlife managers, and there is now an enormous potential for using population viability to assist wildlife management in Australia's forests. A species becomes extinct when the last individual dies.
Without the use of animals or wheels, to massive stone platforms. The identity of the Moai builders was in doubt until well into the 20th century. Thor Heyerdahl, the Norwegian ethnographer and adventurer, thought the statues had been created by pre-Inca peoples from Peru. Best-selling Swiss author Erich von Däniken believed they were built by stranded extraterrestrials. Modern science, linguistic, archaeological, and genetic evidence has definitively proved the Moai builders were Polynesians, but not how they moved their creations. Local folklore maintains that the statues walked, while researchers have tended to assume the ancestors dragged the statues somehow, using ropes and logs.
Not everyone was supportive of Davis' change of tune compared to the recordings of his early career. Universally applauded as linchpins of the jazz oeuvre, Trumpeter Winston Marsalis derided his fusion work as being not true jazz, and pianist Bill Evans denounced the corrupting influence of record companies, noting that rock and pop draw wider audiences. In the face of this criticism, Davis remained defiant, commenting that his earlier recordings were part of a moment in time that he had no feel for anymore. He firmly believed that remaining stylistically inert would have hampered his ability to develop new ways of producing music. From this perspective, Davis' continual revamping of genre was not merely a rebellion, but an evolution, a necessary path that allowed him to release his full musical potential.
Most of the world-scale pulp mills in Scandinavia and North America have modernized their operations, outlaying substantial amounts to improve production methods. Changes in mill design and processes have been aimed at minimizing the environmental effects of effluent discharge, while at the same time producing pulp with the whiteness and strength demanded by the international market. The environmental impetus is taking this industry even further, with the focus now on developing processes that may even eliminate wastewater discharges. But the ghost of the old mills continues to haunt industry today. In Europe, companies face a flood of environment-related legislation. In Germany, companies are now being held responsible for the waste they create.
Early attempts to predict population viability were based on demographic uncertainty. Whether an individual survives from one year to the next will largely be a matter of chance. Some pairs may produce several young in a single year, while others may produce none in that same year. Small populations will fluctuate enormously because of the random nature of birth and death, and these chance fluctuations can cause species extinctions even if, on average, the population size should increase. Taking only this uncertainty of ability to reproduce into account, extinction is unlikely if the number of individuals in a population is above about 50 and the population is growing.
Recent research has shown that other factors need to be considered. Australia's environment fluctuates enormously from year to year. These fluctuations add yet another degree of uncertainty to the survival of many species. Catastrophes such as fire, flood, drought, or epidemic may reduce population sizes to a small fraction of their average level. When allowance is made for these two additional elements of uncertainty, the population size necessary to be confident of persistence for a few hundred years may increase to several thousand.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.